Welcome again. This is the last episode of the Wisdom Chats. Between our two seasons, and we'll be starting our new season in just 2 weeks with a week off in between. And tonight, we're very happy to be able to have a kind of leisurely evening talking about something that is very near and dear to our hearts and hopefully to yours too.
And hopefully you don't hear too much Lucky Fortunata, our black dog, who has decided that he wants to make noise. So
it's just time to bark right now, that's all. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So I would like to give a little bit of context. We have now the Wisdom Chats. And this was between the seasons, because our first season was from November to March. And we had 16 wonderful conversations with great people. And soon there will come out an iBook about that. I'm working on it, and you will be really curious, I hope at least, to get it, because it's shortened versions of the videos. You don't have to watch all the things, but you have them all together, and you can see
all the dull parts cut out. Yes.
Yeah. You can see how these people presented their wisdom in such a wonderful way, and all together, and many photos, and really lovely. So the next season will start in exactly 2 weeks, and then at 7 o'clock our time, that would be 10 a.m. Pacific time. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So next week we will have an interval, because we have to prepare everything, as you know.
And we want a break too. You know that?
Yeah, a little break sometimes is good.
Right.
So today we had invited several people, but some of them said they just couldn't make it, as you see in the comments. Oh, hi, Nancy Ann, you are here. Wonderful. And you say awareness. Let us bring that up,
yes,
this comment. Hi, come on.
There we go.
It doesn't want to come up. Here it is. Awareness of levels of development seems important and a key thing to pay attention to in these rapidly changing times, where we are asked to collaborate and innovate in our lives and in our work. Thank you. And we had another message from Lowell and Fukusong, and she said, once you have understood the thing with the levels of development, you just cannot avoid seeing them.
And once you see them, you just keep on seeing them. Yes, you do. They're just very obvious.
So I think we introduce levels of development, because this is, let's say, basic for one of the 5 pillars on which integral theory is constructed. Can you say constructed?
Yes.
Created or destructed.
Destructed. Right.
No, come on, destructed.
Oh, no, that's the wrong level.
Perceive. Download it. You can say download.
Okay. Yeah.
And the levels of development, you can see them, as John Freeman said in the comments. You can go and see his comment. It's very beautiful. Let me see to read it to you. In the first point, he says that the stages of development in adults are extensions of souls that we go through in childhood. The foundations of all of them are potentials in our, I cannot read anymore, in our psychobiology that are activated or not activated or even inhibited by the upbringing and social forces that shape us.
I think we ought to stop right there for a minute, don't you? What's that mean? There's nobody here to ask the dumb question, so I'm going to have to do it.
Okay, we have to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
So the dumb question answered means that children, as we all know, develop in a certain way. Because they speak, they eat. And before they walk,
they crawl.
They crawl. And before they are able to do physics, they learn how to write and to recognize letters. So
And add 2 plus 2.
And going on and going on. So with children, we are very aware that they go through several stages in their development, and they are well documented by, for instance, Jean Piaget, who was a pioneer in this case. But sort of, we think that when we are adults, so 20, 25, then development has stopped.
That's it. We're there. We've arrived.
And we have no need to go on. But it's not exactly like this. First of all, all these stages of development we might have gone through, but often not in a complete way. There were things inhibited, for instance, suppressed, which have left us like a little bit a zombie, because some of the things we have got, the others are still hanging around and want to be integrated. So,
we all know people who maybe are really brilliant in some areas, and then in terms of getting along with their neighbors, just can't do it.
Here you are talking about the lines of development, because these stages of development express themselves in many different lines. In one line, as you said, you can be highly developed, cognitive lines, how brilliant scientists are around, and then they have family problems of all sorts. They cannot take on keep a relationship with their family, and emotionally zombies, for instance, or there are people who are highly developed in emotional or in spiritual, and in other areas, not so much. So
we know a lot of them. But never mind, that's beside the point.
Yeah, he's often doing really dumb, not questions, remarks.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
So, saying it all together, the levels begin with the survival. Just food and shelter.
Yep. Just then like a baby.
Yeah. The next level is the first, let's say, family, the first group of people where you belong to. And they are always, this group is always more important than you as an individual. And you believe in magical things like the child. I remember how I believed in these shadows coming up on the wall, that there were some some entities coming to see me. And there are people in the adult stage who are still in these belief systems. They take literally that black cat brings evil or bad luck, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the next stage of development is the egocentric stage, which we always see negative, but actually it's not negative in itself.
It's kind of hard to put up with sometimes in a child.
Okay, but also in an adult.
Well, that's true.
But if we don't go through this stage of egocentrism, we sort of are considered psychic illness, psychological, how do you say?
That's a psychopathology.
See,
to not have an ego.
If you don't have developed an ego, it's not a good thing, because you have no, let's say, no self-sense.
No sense of who you are.
And you have no power to really go ahead in your life, because the solar ego, which about 6,000 years ago appeared first time on the planet, it made possible that we are sitting here in front of a little screen and talking to I don't know where, to people everywhere in the world. Whoever wants to be on a similar machine can listen to us. Without the solar ego, without the egocentric stage in the development of humanity, this wouldn't have been possible.
So once upon a time, Alexander the Great was the most advanced person on the planet, so to speak.
And they did wars. This was a characteristic of, and still is a characteristic of this stage of development, that you don't discuss. When there is a problem, you just
right.
Today you shoot. Former times you did it in different ways.
Yeah, slower ways often.
Yeah. And some people still do. as you know. They take out the knife when there are discussions and somebody keeps staying dead.
But I don't know as we would really have sports teams if it weren't for this stage of development.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Sports is very important because you can, when you do competition as sports people, you can sort of sublimate this desire, to be aggressive and to fight, and you do it in a good way, you know. So it's, for me, it took a long time to understand that soccer is a good thing because I always was annoyed of soccer and people who liked it, men, first of all, women, not so much, but men, and still do.
Yeah, what happens when women are at that stage?
Yeah, you know, for women it's a little bit more tricky because in our patriarchy we have learned not to express openly this egocentric state. We have learned to suppress who we really are. Mm-hmm. We have learned that we have sacrificed ourselves for the family and be selfless. This is a big ideal. And by the way, still in spiritual circles, they talk about that, and this is good in a certain way. But if you have it when you are still on the stage, which we call the red stage, the egocentric stage, and you talk to women about being selfless, you just do the same thing what patriarchy has done to us. And as you are not selfless because you are in this stage, you find other ways to express this.
That's exactly
egocentric drive.
Yeah, how do women fight?
We fight with words and with little manipulations and threats and how is that word called? When I say, if you don't do that and that and that, then I will do menaces. Menaces.
Intimidation.
Intimidation,
Oh,
but
I know.
No sex, for instance.
Oh, okay. Just a minute. Now, anyway, I'm talking about women fighting with women here. The nastiest things that a woman can do in that regard is to ostracize someone.
Oh, yeah, we have learned that. We have learned that and to dismiss other women and be really suspicious and never collaborate. And so it's better now, but this is our past. And then we go to the
already. We're going to another stage already?
Yeah, why do you want to stay so long?
Oh, I don't know, because
at the egocentric stage.
Violence and stuff, you know.
Okay, go on.
No, I don't know, actually. I'm ready to move on, too, to the next stage.
Yeah, because I think we have said that in the red stage, in the egocentric stage, violence is a normal way of expressing yourself.
Why does that stage end?
Because if we continue to do so, sooner or later there's nobody anymore on the planet. You know, when everyone you meet, you kill. I mean,
yeah.
So to create what is now so fashionable, to create peace, we need to domesticate the impulse of being only me. And this is done with observing certain rules.
Rules for red people?
Rules. They get to observe rules when they are long enough in the prison or wherever they learn rules, you know, because they understand only the language of force.
Yeah.
So the rules have to be forced of them, and hopefully then they become faithful, rule observing citizens.
Oh, you mean they learn how to maybe not pull out the knife on the sidewalk when somebody steps on their shoes by accident.
Oh yeah, because they know that there is a whole community of people, and if they do it, this community will take care that they don't have a lovely life anymore.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So and they have sophisticated ways of punishment.
Sophisticated.
Mhm. Sometimes. I have heard what Jeff Salzman said, and I didn't even know that it exists.
What's that?
That in Germany, in the Dome of Cologne, there is a cage, an iron cage, right up in on the
this
top.
is the cathedral in Cologne.
The cathedral, yeah.
Okay. Right.
Uh-huh. And when people, for one reason or other, it might not be because they were red people, might even have been because they were advanced people and nobody understood them, so they thought they were witches or devils or something like that. For one reason or other, you were under the punishment regime of a traditional regime. In those times, medieval times, they put you in this cage and hang you up there. No food, no nothing. And they just watched you dying and becoming bones. I mean, this is sophisticated, isn't it? Mm. So I wanted to say there were quite a bit of punishments to make people obey the rules.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for whatever reason they didn't obey the rules. This is not important to them.
Well,
they were the power,
yeah,
the ruling people, and they dictated the rules, and for a good.
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
What good?
To be able to live together. You know, there was the appearance of the cities, of the big cities. If there was still this, I kill you if you say a word to me, the cities would tumble. I mean, nobody would be there anymore. So they needed a way of convivenza, living together.
Mm-hmm.
So it was absolutely important for the development of our cultures. The more people there are, the more you need certain rules to obey, to guarantee the peace.
So they learn, people at this stage learn how to postpone gratification.
Absolutely.
Even until death.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
with
because
the reward of heaven.
Heaven will give you the reward.
Yeah.
And that's what begins in childhood, no? When you tell the child you cannot have everything, you cannot do everything, and you make sure that they obey rules. What we try with our dog, by the way.
Dog hasn't quite made it to that stage yet.
No, hasn't.
No.
Okay, are we enough with the amber or blue? Blue is the terminology of spiral dynamics of Don Beck, while amber is the terminology of our beloved Ken Wilber.
Ken Wilber, yes. Okay, well, we can go on from there. So what age are we talking about with kids, though? Just so we kind of don't get too far apart.
In about when they are 12 years old, they really want to belong to a group, and they observe whatever rules the group they belong to.
And they know the rules.
They know the rules, and even if it's their own peer group, but there are well-defined rules, not written, but everybody knows this was right or this was wrong.
In my school, you never wore yellow on Thursday.
Superstition.
No, only gay people wore yellow.
Okay, even colors.
Yeah.
To yellow in the developmental spiral become a little later.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean gay, for sure.
No.
So, what comes next? Next level of development is orange. In the spiral dynamic, but also in the Ken Wilber system, and that means modernity.
Why did this happen? What was wrong with the way things were? Yeah.
What was wrong with the way things were? You know, there was Galileo who said, was it him who said that the Earth is not flat and it's not in the center of the universe, but something else is in the center of the universe, and many people died for their recognition that things are different than the dogmas said, because they began to watch. They began to watch what is in reality.
Mm-hmm. So evidence became more important than authority.
Yeah, and people began to put the dots together. If this and this, then this. That means they began to think in a rational way, which in the stage before, rationality is not really. Even if it was true, I wouldn't believe it.
Right, exactly. But you probably know people like this, who are stuck in this blue amber level, and they explain away, for example, fossils in the earth as put there by God to test our faith, for example. Yeah, rather than as evidence of, for example, evolution, for example.
Yeah, and who don't get the connection between illnesses and poisoned food, for instance. They just don't believe it. That it's fresh, it looks good, and so how can I get ill by that or something? I don't see it, so okay, this is a possibility. In the orange stage, really the reason becomes the master, and this is what has accelerated technology. For instance,
science, technology,
you bet.
But
and philosophy.
Yeah, also important things like human rights. Like
human
democracy.
Rights came on, yeah.
I mean, when the king was no longer the authority, then it was we became our own authority. Each of us, as individuals, were domains unto ourselves, so to speak. And so these things happened about the same time in history, over a period of a couple hundred years, and transformed the world and made it what became rather recognizable today. But it wasn't the last word. No, it wasn't.
It wasn't the last word. And you know what?
What happened?
This is not the last word. We don't have our microphone on, and hopefully people could hear us.
Oh my!
Because we hear ourselves quite well, but that shouldn't happen.
Why didn't somebody out there tell us?
Maybe they heard us.
Maybe they did.
So we really hope that.
Yeah.
And we hope we make it going. Okay, let's go to what is coming.
Yet.
No, it's not, but we will see.
Okay.
Maybe I cannot change it. So. Go on.
All right.
Well, orange.
Orange. You're talking about orange.
You might need to talk a little louder,
A little louder, because perhaps this one is going.
Yeah.
Well, I hope so. I hope
so
our computer's microphone is working. Yeah, orange, did all kinds of wonderful things. It made industry possible instead of just everything being made by hand. The skills necessary for mass production, for all this stuff. We are surrounded with stuff. Just turn around and look, and virtually everything you see is from some factory that put it together. And it took thousands of people working on these objects to make them happen and to bring them to you. And this is a level of development and organization that earlier blue was not able to do at all. You could live in a small community with blue, with amber, and get many of your needs met from your neighbors, etc. But you didn't get stuff from China. Now we do.
And
for better, for worse.
Probably you wouldn't live somewhere else as we do. You would live in our place where we were born, or nearby.
Isn't this where we were born?
In the world, yeah.
Oh.
Now we are citizens of the world,
Oh, yeah. But we're
and this began with orange. With the possibility to meet.
You mean
come together.
That maybe you and I would never have met without orange?
We wouldn't have met without orange, because there would have been no Facebook.
Ah.
We met on Facebook, by the way,
yes,
about 3.5 years ago. And since then we are on the go, because we met by talking about levels of development and men and women, how they behave differently, and so on. And then we got interested in each other. Yeah. But this is not the topic. We want to go.
But It's nice to throw that stuff in sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Personal points, yes.
That's why we are so interested in integral. Instead of really working to get money, we spend the time to talk about integral and hope to inspire you.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we go into green. And
whoa, why? What for?
What for? Because we begin to understand that when we exploited coal, for instance, London was black, the air was dirty. Many things were not as they could be. In the 50s, in the late 50s, 60s, when I grew up in Germany, people invented DDT. And this was the magic thing, of, you don't have to work in the garden anymore. You just put a liquid on that and wonderful, all weeds disappear. And then we began to understand that maybe it's not the best solution because it has consequences. So I grew up with the green thinking quite from the 70s on. Mm-hmm. So you have to divide your trash, recycle plastic, and try to avoid trash, and all these things which seem to be a new invention in America in the last few years. I live with it for about 40 years now. So green ideas was taking care of Mother Earth, not exploiting it. Mm-hmm. No, this was one of the things. And then being together, coming together, building groups of even experiments to live together in big groups, come together, discuss. Everybody needs to be heard. Everybody's voice is important.
Well, exactly, because we began to include all ethnic groups into the social political system with full rights. Women were about the 60s started to enter into full.
We fought for the emancipation.
Yes.
We wanted to have a voice outside of the house.
And now, gays and so forth are coming in, and we extend care to animals. That in the orange in previous times were just simply property that you could treat any way you wanted. Because they don't have interiors.
No, animals don't feel anything. They don't have souls, and you can treat them as an object. You can run them around packed into big trucks, as they unfortunately still do.
So, as you know, some of these orange things are still hanging around.
Unfortunately, very many.
Yeah.
But we are at least aware of it, and many of us are taking actions and supporting other ways of living.
Yeah.
Okay, these were the first 6 levels of development, and we are more or less there as population in the Western countries. And then there comes what we call second tier. There come other levels of development. And the characteristic of that, do you want to talk about that?
Me? Well, this is the hard part. Because some people might not get it.
Do you get it?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
But you see, because one thing that happens here at the green level is that everybody sits around in a circle and talks and talks and talks and talks and never can decide what to do, because everybody is equal in the sense that they're all somehow the same, not with different abilities or areas of expertise.
Yeah, and this is especially strange because at the same time they have a big accentuation on individuality.
Yeah.
I am who I am, and nobody has to tell me what I shall do. I have my own way, and what you do is your business. What I do, let me do. You have nothing to tell me. So.
And what do you do with a room full of people who think like that? You just let them all have a chance to speak, and then
no conclusions.
It gets to be late, and you all go home.
Okay, you are talking about the problematic parts of
green.
But I was talking about what is the difference between what we call first tier, the first 6 levels of development, and second tier. The levels of development which have begun to appear, I mean, sporadically, even hundreds of years ago, but in a bigger scale only in the few
decades.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, see, and I was going to approach second tier by saying it was also a reaction to the shortcomings of green, you know? When finally, eureka, you know, somehow we come to understand that every one of these earlier levels has some really fundamental, important, you know, qualities. We would not be who we are at all without them. You know, without the survival qualities that we have at the bottom, at the earliest development, up through
without the enchantment which we can feel, which is opening our heart, without the power which we need to go ahead, without the possibility to observe rules and to be quiet, and without the curiosity to go ahead and want to find out what it is all about, no? And without taking care for what is around us.
Taking care of the world and for all the creatures in it.
If we don't have all these things,
so
something is missing.
At integral, at what we call the second tier, sorry, that was a word we haven't used yet, integral.
Integral.
Did you use it? Yeah, it means just putting together all of these levels into a new way of looking at them. We are able to see that each of these levels is necessary, and we don't get angry at people because they are at a certain level. They just are the way they are. And we don't try to make them be the way we think people ought to be, you know, which is what every earlier level does, you know, insists on being the right way, you know.
Exactly. If you want to find out if you are in first tier, in one of these first 6 levels, or in second tier, you just observe yourself and see if you think about certain people. They do it wrong. They should do it like this. And these, well, money is horrible, I don't want to touch it. Or the, you know.
The crap they believe. Jeez, what's
wrong
with
them? Rules. I don't want to ever observe any rules anymore, blah, blah. Churches are really to throw out of the window. If you have beliefs like that, or even exposing your power, using your power, this is completely wrong, you know. I'm going through the spiral here. If you find in yourself a belief, when you meet people of different levels of development, this is completely wrong. They're stupid. How can't they see that? You know, it's so easy. You just have to see it like I do. No, if you think in that way, then you probably are in first tier.
It's like expecting, you know, a 6-year-old to be able to understand algebra. You know, as if a 6-year-old were a defective 12-year-old, 14-year-old.
In presumption, how do you say presumption, not presumption? Taken granted that you are the 14-year-old. And you see a 6-year-old and think, it's just stupid guy.
You know, but once society did look at children that way as defective grown-ups.
I know, I did. And society was completely in first tier, in the 6 first stages of development, while now there are quite a few people going ahead over that. And second tier, the levels in second tier, there are more, and then there's even third tier, and very, very few people who are there. I'm for sure not there.
When people talk about third tier, I don't understand them, which is a real clue that I'm not there.
Exactly. When people talk about things and others agree, and they really can talk a long time about these things, like we talk about levels of development, and you think, what are they talking about? What the heck is that? That it means that you are not in that level of what has been talked about, you know. And it happens with us too. Some people, when we listen to them, I think, oh, I don't get it. I just don't understand it. I don't have a connection to that, you know. So you, with the integral map, you quite easily can find out where are you located on the developmental lines. I meant on the levels in your lines, because you might be, as we said, very developed in one line and not so much in the other line. And you see also where you have to do some work, where you have to catch up to really guarantee that your development goes on.
No, I think I'm pretty comfortable being right where I am.
Oh yeah, you can choose that if you want, but normally things happen in life, so you are forced in some way to develop.
Well, life does force you to make changes. That's true.
Absolutely,
but then sometimes it pushes you down as well as up.
Oh, often we think it pushes us down in life, and then when we come over it and we have found a solution, then we find, oh, how good that this happened to me, because now when I'm on the other side, I see what I've learned. And often the developmental leaps happen because something what we call negative happens to us, and we find out a way to deal with that. Okay. Hi, Lawrence. I see you here. We are at the levels of development and going into integral. I don't want to say too much about it. We wanted just to introduce this a little bit, because in our next season, which is called Wisdom Technologies, we will have 10 people to talk about their technologies.
That's going to be a very busy show, 10 people.
Not all together.
Oh,
one at a time.
Okay. All right.
We will have 10 weeks, and in every show we will have one person talking about their specific way of technology to grow up into wisdom.
You mean like hardware and stuff, electronics?
Like computer. Also, a technology is, how can we say, it's a means to arrive to certain goals. And we have a computer. This is the technology to do the transmission now, But you can have other technologies, and there are even technologies, like binaural beats, and this is real technology-based, what we normally understand about technology.
So
this will be the first session with John Dupuy from iAwake, and he will shortly give an introduction again in the levels of development and how his technology helps to grow up the people, to accelerate the growing up process into higher levels of development. Then we will have our own Lawrence, and he will present his technology, the Golden Key release.
Which is kind of an inner technology.
This is an inner technology, while the further is an outer technology, let's say, which has the effects on the inner. Integral is about the tetra arising of all perspectives.
Tetra arising?
4 things at the same time arise. Outside, inside, in myself, and in the group I'm belonging to. So it has all effects. If you work on one of these, we call it quadrants in integral, if you work on one of these quadrants, it has its effects on all the other quadrants. And this often in real life is not really understood very well, and that's where integral helps us to understand these things, not only understand, but to know where we still have some hole, some lack, where we still have to catch up, where we are not yet whole in the sense of W.
WHOL
Yeah.
in that sense.
Because we have some holes without W. And normally we don't see that. When we are so convinced that only psychotherapy or only spirituality, only sitting on the cushion, this will bring
only
you
science, only
all of that.
physics.
If only one part will cover all the other perspectives. It doesn't work. We do know it. Only science doesn't cover our interiority.
We'll redesign the cities so that everybody has access to working and shopping and easy transportation.
But how they are living, what they are thinking.
Oh, we have to work on that too.
Yeah, and you can even on the brain. No, you can put on all sorts of sensors, and you can measure the brain waves and how they fire the neurons and all these things, the pathways where they are going. But if you want to know what thoughts the people had to initiate all this brain activity, you still have to ask these people, because you cannot get the thoughts out of what happens, which is recognizable by the machines. So science cannot how do you say take over
the final answer,
take over the interior part, and the interior parts like meditation, spirituality cannot substitute the exterior part.
Right.
So integral tells us how to be and how to do to get as big a picture as possible and as complete a picture as possible. And if you are inspired, we are almost at the end, inspired to know more about Integral, we have here a link. This is the upcoming course by Ken Wilber. It starts in May 14th. And he's going through this wisdom bit. The course is called Your Superhuman Potential, because he says that potential which we are trying to reach in our lives, which we know from other people, this is human potential. But we haven't explored and given any thought yet of what is really, really, really possible in our lives. And this would be called superhuman potential. It's nothing Superman or something like that.
Nothing superior in the sense of better than anyone else.
It's just to really go far over the edge of what you think is possible. And he will give you the guidance to do that. And it's, by the way, where we got to know Lawrence, who is writing here the comments.
Yes, he's saying, generally, work in one quadrant affects the others. And there's an easier quadrant to approach a condition from. Like there are ways in which you can get into a new area through one of the four quadrants, but it eventually will blossom into the other three to expand to
Absolutely.
its
it has this all connected and goes together. Yeah, so check it out. When you click on this link, you can get the download from the free event, which Ken Wilber gave about 2 weeks ago. And then, if you are inspired to do so, take the course. We took it, and out of that, also this chat has arisen, and many new people with whom we got into contact
like
and into friendship, like Lawrence. We appreciate very much. And then stay tuned for our next season. 10 people. I wanted to tell you who these people are. I began before. The first is John Dupree. Then there is Lawrence Gold. What is happening here?
Oh, it's writing backwards.
Oh, yeah.
Generally, work in one quadrant. It's this, but it's posted backwards. It's the same thing.
Yeah, and I haven't it on anymore. I don't know why you're doing this. Here we are back. Wonderful. Okay. Lawrence, then Dr. Robin Wood, who we had already in the first part. He will talk about the practices to create thriving in your life.
Which is above sustaining, sustainability to thrivability.
Living good without destructing the planet. Then there will be Patricia Albert, who is talking about
her process of actually being able to communicate with other people in such a way that it seems like ego disappears, but you retain your own uniqueness, your own particularity. And it's an easy flow from one person to another.
So it is sort of an enlightenment in the we space.
Yeah, you could say that.
Good. Then that will be me and sharing with you my wisdom techniques.
Yep. And I won't be interviewing her. Somebody else will.
Somebody else, a friend of mine, who always asked me, tell me a little bit what you are doing. And we never had the occasion. So I will ask her to interview me.
Yes, and I wouldn't dare ask the hard questions anyway.
Yeah. And now you are so much connected that you know everything already. You wouldn't ask any good questions anymore. So, and then comes Nicholas Beecroft.
Oh, Nicholas. Oh, he's the author of the new Magna Carta.
And Analyze West.
Analyze West. He's a psychiatrist. And he has actually put Western civilization on the psychiatrist's couch to see what's wrong with Western civilization.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of problems that we have. And actually, Western civilization is in a crisis because we are no longer actually just automatically the rulers of the world anymore. And so what happens? Oh, identity crises.
Okay. Then Jeff Sossman, he will talk about the political system in America and how that could be
how we could make some progress in the stalemates that exist in American politics. Yes.
Then comes Elsa Malouf, and she is working very hard to create peace between Israel and Palestine.
And generally throughout the Middle East.
Throughout the Middle East.
Where these conflicts have been going on forever, and they reappear in horrible ways in the modern age, beginning with the oil riches and the nuclear powers between India, Pakistan, and Israel, and now maybe, not Iraq, what do I want to say, in Persia, what's the country? Oh, it's
Iran.
Iran.
Persia is a while ago.
Yeah. And of course the rise suddenly of ISIS, this terribly vicious radical Islamism. But she can put this into, I don't want to say a package, but into a perspective where you can go beyond all of these who did what to whom and when did that start, and actually start to work together to make something new. And she's telling me to hurry up.
No, to speak louder.
Louder.
Because they might not hear us.
Oh,
it's so far away.
I hear me just fine.
You hear you. I hear you too.
Okay.
Then the next person is Said Al-Labani, and he is the husband of Elsa, but he is working on a different place.
On a different place. He is an economist.
Louder.
And an economist. But for him, it is not the dismal science that we all learned in college. He has managed to take a look at, what does that mean?
Louder.
Even louder. He has managed to take a look at economic systems throughout the ages, and with the aid of this developmental model, has understood that economics is not in the forefront of development. It actually is lagging behind development. And that's why we are in this 21st century kind of hampered with this old economy. And he can tell us how that can change.
Okay, I hope they have heard you, because, as we said before, our external microphone is not working. So we have our Chromebook, and hopefully it takes it.
No.
So, and now we come to the last one. The last
and be loud about this, okay?
Yeah, the last one is Martin Shervington. And he will talk about the wisdom he has reached, and which he is using to build up his presence in Google Plus and social networks, and the way he is supporting other people to do the same. So This is on. These are the 10 people who will be on between the 6th of May and the 15th of July. And I hope you will join us and will share the message to other people so that they can get these different perspectives on life, what is going on the world, and maybe get inspired to come out of the complaints and of the desperation. Oh, things go worse and worse and worse. They don't. They do a little bit, but they also don't at the same time. And we need to make a distinction and see what is going better and how we can help to get it better. Okay?
I think Lawrence was asking for the inside link.
Oh, yeah, Lorenz, we are at the end now, but I will give you the link. I have sent it to you before. But we say goodbye for now to the watchers, and we see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, and thank you that you were here.
Bye-bye.
Is it still on?
I don't know. We're frozen. Oh, we're still wiggling.